Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Maze MTG here, back with a second preview pre-brew for today, Monday the 7th of June. The reason for that, our Buyer Box promo for Core Set 2020 has just been unveiled. Rienne, Angel of Rebirth. So she's a Naya Legendary Angel, costs 2 red, green, white to cast. She's a 5/4 flyer that gives other multicolored creatures you control +1/+0. And whenever another multicolored creature you control dies, it returns to the owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. And typically, if you're going to control multicolored creatures, they're going to be yours, you're going to be the one getting them back. So, the mana cost in itself is quite prohibitive. It kind of demands you construct your deck in a specific way in order to cast Rienne. Originally, I was looking to see if I could pick a specific color pair from the 3, build the deck around that, and then splash the third color. But looking through the Ravnica sets, War of the Spark, it hasn't quite hit that critical mass in any one of the guilds to build a primarily multicolour curve out of one guild's cards, and then fit Rienne in at the top. So we've kind of gone somewhere between Naya, Boros, Gruul, kind of a best of hits list in the deck. So you'll see, unlike Dread Presence, Rienne is a ×3 in this deck. 3 copies of Rienne. She is a 5-drop, and we do have some other powerful 5-drop multicolored creatures that we can use in conjunction with both of her abilities to get the most out of the card. So, looking at the mana base is fairly standard. You'll be playing 11 shock lands, 11 check lands, a single mountain, and a single forest, just to make the mana base all fit together nicely. In terms of our lower curve, you'll notice the first column of cards, there's no multicolour cards here, but the rest of the deck, I promise, is packed with multicolour hits for Rienne to power up for you. So 1 Reckless Rage, why Reckless Rage, why 1, all will become clear when we get to our 3 mana creatures. 3 Lava Coil, potentially could be Lightning Strike. I just like the extra point of damage that Lava Coil is dealing. The fact that it exiles is quite powerful against threats like Rekindling Phoenix. Again, depending on how it all shakes out, you may want Lightning Strike because it acts as reach as well. But this deck's just designed to give you some ideas, get you start brewing around Rienne. Again, we don't know what the metagame's going to look like post-Core Set 2020, and we also would have access to more than a single card from Core Set 2020 when we were building our decks for the new format. Our last card in this column is Paradise Druid, 4 copies. Considered Llanowar Elves, but we have some awkward mana costs at higher converted mana costs, where the green mana doesn't really contribute to casting the spell. So Feather's a prime example. Red, white, white. None of those requirements can be met by the green generated by a Llanowar Elf. Paradise Druid having hexproof is also very useful if the format continues to see Shock, Lightning Strike, Lava Coil used as removal on turns 1 and 2, and I know with Core Set 2020 we do have Disfigure entering the fray as well, having seen a nice new promo of that, very nice in fact. So once we do get to the 3 converted mana cost slot, this is where our multicolour creatures start creeping in. 4 Gruul Spellbreaker, staple of Gruul midrange decks currently, comes in as either a 4/4 with trample for future turns, or your 3/3 haster thanks to Riot, and as long as it's your turn, you and Gruul Spellbreaker both have hexproof as well. Fantastic. And if your opponent does want to kill it on their turn, well, who knows, maybe you do have Rienne in play. We also have 4 copies of Night of Autumn, a flexible multicolour Celestia threat. Either you can just have it come in as a 4/3, which is a chunky body in its own right, on par with the Spellbreaker, or you get some additional flexibility in the ability to gain life and destroy artifacts or enchantments as well. 3 copies of Feather the Redeemed. I promised you would have an explanation for the Reckless Rage. In this deck, Feather's more just being played as an overstatted 3-cost creature that's multicolour to feed into Rienne. The only card we really have that we want to target the Feather with is a single Reckless Rage, but she just fills the curve out nicely. She's another multicolour threat for Rienne to pump, for Rienne to return to your hand as well. And at 4/4, she does kind of dominate the skies, especially with Lava Coil, to get rid of opposing phoenixes, or phoenices. What is the plural of a phoenix? Finally, the last card in the 3 converted mana cost column is not a creature, it is Domri, Anarch of Bolas. Don't want to be playing the full playset in this deck, I don't think, but it is another global power pump, and the -2 fighting creatures and other creatures You may want to do that even if it would have your creature end up in the graveyard with a Rienne on the battlefield, because then the creature that fought off, traded, will be coming back to your hand, whereas your opponent's creature is likely dead and gone. Domri's +1, ramping you. Again, we can use the green or the red for all of our spells that cost more than 3, so it doesn't really have the same problem as Llanowar Elves thanks to the flexibility of the colour of mana that it is producing in the deck. So the next card in the 4 converted mana cost slot is Aurelia, Exemplar of Justice. There's only 2 copies of Aurelia, A, because of the legend rule, and B, because the majority of our 3 drops, so Night of Autumn with counters, Gruul Spellbreaker with a counter, are not really mentorable onto, and the fact that Domri and Rienne are global power pumps, same with Trostani Discordant, means that it's not really going to affect the situation in terms of mentor. So, while a 4/5 flyer when she's targeting herself is absolutely fantastic, I don't think she's a card we want to be playing more than perhaps 2 or 3 of. I've settled on 2 for now, because we're also playing 4 copies of Conclave Cavalier. So, why Conclave Cavalier? It's a 4/4 for 4 with Vigilance, I'm sure you can read the card, but more importantly, when it dies, it splits into 2/2/2 green and white Elf Knight creature tokens with Vigilance. So these are some of the only creature tokens in Standard currently that happen to be multicolour to receive the pump off Rienne, and when Conclave Cavalier dies with Rienne on the battlefield, it's gonna come back to your hand for you to play it out again. You still have those elves as well, so it's just an engine between the Cavalier and Rienne, and if your opponent chooses not to kill the Cavalier, you're still going to be attacking them with a 5/4 Vigilant creature. Our last 4 drop is 1 copy of Ajani the Great-Hearted. Might not be right, but if we're building a Naya deck, Naya hits, may as well put 1 Ajani in, gives our huge board Vigilance, can gain some life in a pinch, -2 is another global pump in a deck that already is reaching a critical mass of Anthem effects. In terms of our 5 drops, we've got 3 Rienne, as we've already said, and the reason we're playing 3 is so we can fit in 1 Trostani Discordant, another Anthem. While the soldiers don't get the bonus from Rienne, they still get pumped by Domri, still get pumped by Ajani, and being able to get your creatures back is good because Entrancing Melody, Mass Manipulation, I can't imagine these cards are going anywhere. Our last 5 drop are 2 copies of Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves. Both Tolsimir and Voja are multicolour, so they do get the Anthem pump. Unfortunately, when Voja fights and dies, Voja is a token, so it won't be coming back to your hand, but if Tolsimir dies, you can replay him again, get another wolf when he enters the battlefield, get another fight, and a 4-power fight, slightly more range than a 3-power fight. And then lastly, the final card in the 60, because this is a Naya deck, because it was printed in M19, 1 copy of Palladium Moors the Ruiner. So keep word soup, flying, vigilance, trample. Palladium Moors the Ruiner has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. So just sits back as a 6/6 with a Rienne 7/6, gets to shove in for damage. Once it deals damage, the shields drop, but Rienne acts as kind of a backup shield generator for Palladium Moors, where the opponent has to remove Rienne first. So that's the shell. Many of the numbers are tweakable. The Lava Coil slot is very flexible for whatever removal you want to be playing in that slot. Again, the deck may receive more tools from Core Set 2020, but in our preview pre-brews, we're just brewing with a single card from the new set, and in this case it is Rienne, the Angel of Rebirth. Do you like this format of content? Please let me know. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. Leave a like on the video. You can subscribe if you do want to see more content similar to this, both our daily deck techs and preview pre-brews, as well as draft videos on demand from my Twitch channel, which you can find at twitch.tv/mazemtg. However you choose to interact with this video or myself, I hope you have a fantastic day and you continue to enjoy the Core Set 2020 previews and also our preview pre-brew videos. Thank you.